Guys, I'm finally doing it. A reaction video. Yippee. Actually, before I do the reaction. I just want to say thank you so much for 200 subs. Like, seriously, I've been working for that in a while. So yeah. Also, I'm in my room, and my bed has, like, a bunch of metal under it, and it makes this weird sound when I move. Like, listen to this. So, if you, like, hear that, just know that's, like, me moving around. But, so, what we're gonna be reacting is this random video I found called I Followed My Crush to the Basement, Instantly Regrets It. What kind of name? Why is the first part of it in the first person, but, like, the second part isn't, like, I instantly regret it. It's just instantly regrets it, as if it's, like, talking about another person. Like, is this really you, or is this the random person living across your road, and you just put I in the first part? Never look down on anyone. She has a name like this on a YouTube video, and then puts this quote.
I was running through the rain trying to get home as quickly as possible when I noticed my crush James walking onto the school grounds. I didn't want him to see me like this. I was soaked to the bone, looking like a drowned rat, but I had to know.
Well, then, if you didn't want to see him like that, if you didn't want him to see you like that, sorry, I can't talk anymore, then why did you follow him? Because that's the name of the video. Like, seriously. Hold on, wait, somebody commented on a video. I gotta respond! Oh, it's Travis. Oh my god. So, my friend named Travis from school, we were doing a little context on why he's calling me son. We were doing this kind of play in school, and we had to like, there were characters. There was, like, freaking Zeus, and then Zeus's son, and Travis was Zeus, and I was the Zeus's son, and then, like, after that, I don't know why, but he just, like, kept calling me son. I'm gonna reply to him real quick. Father.
What he was up to. What if he was breaking into the school? I decided to follow him. And at one point, I swear, he turned around and looked right at me. I didn't know if I was seeing things, but it even looked like he smiled at me. Wait, did he want me to follow him? Suddenly, I felt brave.
Okay,
I was going to tell him how I...
It's like this. Yeah, you're gonna do that. You'll go, yeah, but... Actually, it kind of makes total sense if you have a name like this. You have a title like that.
The moment I'd waited for my whole life had arrived. But then I saw him climbing into the tornado shelter, and that...
The tornado shelter? Y'all have a tornado shelter at your school? How are you gonna get in it? Like, seriously. Like the tornado is out there, and then they're like, everybody get in the tornado shelter, and then you all just start running out there, and then you get sucked into the tornado one by one. Like, seriously. Or do you, like, all get in there, while the tornado warning happens. It's like tornado warning. Up, get in the shelter. Or do they just wait until the whatever?
Have been my first warning not to keep following him because things were about to get super weird. Before I unleash my crazy story onto you, click like and subscribe to stay up to date with all the madness that My Story Animated has in store for you.
Never.
Okay, so there I was climbing into a tornado shelter after my crush with absolutely no plan of what I'd do next. I was acting purely on
Let me get this straight. You're running through the rain. You see your crush enter a tornado shelter, and then you follow him into that, and you don't even know what you're going to do. Bro.
And it felt amazing. I felt sure he knew I'd climbed in after him, but I couldn't see anything, so I used the flashlight on my phone and realized he'd already gone down the stairs. The rain was really pouring now, so I closed the lid. The last thing I wanted was to flood the shelter. Not on a special night like tonight. I'd never been this close to James before.
Let me get this straight, okay? The only reason you are closing the tornado shelter door is because you didn't want to flood the shelter on a specifically night like that. Like, it could have been on a random Tuesday and you're walking into there and you wouldn't have cared if it had, like, just been completely flooded. Is that what you're saying? It's only when you're near your crush and you just, like, follow him in there that's when you don't want it to flood?
Just the two of us alone. Except we weren't alone. As soon as I closed the lid, I heard a girl's voice. No! I started panicking and decided this had been a stupid idea. I pushed the lid to climb back out, but it wouldn't open. No matter how hard I pushed it, it didn't budge. Oh my gosh.
You unintentionally locked them in there. Locked all three of you. James's potentially girlfriend, potentially random friend, and you, and James himself, the goat, the man. I don't know. I don't know why I'm calling him the goat. I don't even know anything about him. I'm just calling him the goat because I don't know the other girl, and he is so far the only person who I agree with. Except for the part where he's just randomly going into a tornado shelter during the rain. You know what? I don't know anymore. Never mind.
Was stuck. If it had just been me and James down there, it would have been quite exciting. But suddenly...
Oh, okay. So, you want to have only James and you completely locked in the school tornado shelter. But because there's another girl, that makes it bad. Just the fact that there's another girl. Yep, that makes total sense. Also, why does it say I followed my crush to the basement when it's into a tornado shelter?
I heard a kissing sound and I realized my worst nightmare had just come true. I was stuck in a tornado shelter with my crush and his girlfriend by the sounds of...
So he has a girlfriend. And you... Why? Did you know that he had a girlfriend? Because if you didn't know, then, like, okay. But, like, if you know, if you, like, knew, then why? Why would you still follow him in there? You try to, just go up to him and go, get her out of your life. You don't need her. You need me. Is that what you're gonna do?
Things. I didn't want them to know I was there, like some creepy stalkers, so I tried to keep as quiet as possible. I could hear them laughing, and then the girl said, "Did anyone see you come in here? I hope we didn't get caught." And James replied, "No, I don't think so. Oh no, wait, there was a girl from my school, but she wouldn't say anything. She's such a loser." At that, I had to cover my face. I wanted to cry. It felt like he'd shoved a knife through my heart. And then I felt angry. I had to get out of there. This was literally the most embarrassing situation to ever be in. And what would my parents...
So yeah, being locked in a school shelter, a school tornado. I can't talk. A school tornado shelter is embarrassing, not scary. Okay, yeah, that just makes total sense. Yeah.
Parents think when they found out. I gave the lid one final push, but I pushed too hard. The next moment, I lost my footing and was rolling down the stairs. I landed with a thump and blacked out for a second. When I opened my eyes, James and his girlfriend were standing over me. They didn't even ask me if I was okay. James just looked down at me and said, "Did you follow me here?
Yes.
What are you playing at?" Then he turned to his girlfriend and said, "Come on, babe, let's bounce." Then they just left me lying there and headed up the stairs. I was about to tell them that we were trapped down there, but they'd soon discover it for themselves. I could hear James bashing on the lid of the shelter, but obviously it wouldn't open. And then he shouted down to me and asked if I'd done this and if I thought it was funny. No, James, I did not find this funny. I wanted to shout up at him. Gosh, what would he say if he knew how much I wished I were his girlfriend and not that dumb blonde girl? Then he started shouting about him. Gosh, what would he say if he knew how much I wished I were his girlfriend and not that dumb blonde girl? Then
why does she specifically say dumb blonde girl, not just dumb other girl? Just a specifically dumb blonde girl. I don't know anymore. I can't with this girl. I don't know anymore, dude.
Started shouting about how he had to get out ASAP because the next day was his big football game that was going to guarantee him a scholarship to a top college.
I don't think that's how that works. I'm gonna stop interrupting every 2 seconds.
He said he had to get it, otherwise he'd be stuck in this stupid town forever. Oh no, this was a disaster, and it was only just the beginning. I sat up and looked around with my flashlight on my phone and realized there was literally nothing down there except for some sandbags.
They had a tornado shelter there, and they put nothing in there except sandbags? What kind of school do you go to? Like, seriously. What? That's just the school's fault. Why do they have no resources to survive in the tornado shelter? Do they expect the tornado to, like, end in 2 seconds or something? Like, golly. What is what is the thought process?
And an old scratchy blanket that looked like 1,000 bugs might be living in it. And then I realized I was shivering, like properly freezing cold. My phone was on 10%. Not that it mattered. There was absolutely no signal down there anyway. I didn't even have a bottle of water on me, and by the looks of things, James and his girlfriend had nothing either. Oh man. I held my breath as they came down the stairs. I was so scared of what they'd say to me. They were arguing, and James's girlfriend came right up to me and said, "This is all your fault. You've ruined everything." Truly, that felt like the most awkward moment of my entire life. James told her to try and calm down, and I learned her name was...
You know what? She is correct. He is just wanting to, like, calm down, just like, alright, let's just find a way to escape. And then, whatever you're, like, what is that name? MSA, previously My Story Animated. What kind of channel? Yeah, but, like, that girl is just like, no, I only came down here because I wanted to get my bus, and then I locked the door, so,
Amy. She must have gone to another school because
What is this? What am I looking at?
Never seen her before. Neither of them had signal either, and soon they started screaming for help. I
The
didn't
rain's
want to
gonna be,
tell
like,
them it
way
was
too
pointless.
loud, dude.
The rain was so loud. No one would hear us, even if they were right above us. Eventually, I told them I was sorry, even though it wasn't my fault.
Yes, it was. It is exactly your fault. Completely your fault.
And told them I'd been trying to shelter from the rain because I'd forgotten my umbrella.
James obviously saw you stalking him. It is over for you. You're cooked. Burnt. Ashes. Either James is gonna play it off like a random thing and then just like get out of there eventually, and then you're just like gonna, just like move on with your lives. He will never talk to you again, and you will, and then you will keep chasing him, and then eventually, I'm trying to say this with as much breath as I can. Hold on. And then he will eventually go to a different college, but you were so not smart. I'm not sure. I can't talk. I can't talk anymore. I can't talk anymore. And then you're just like that. You just like couldn't get into a good college, so you never saw him again. And yeah. Why am I like? Why? I can't talk.
But Amy didn't buy it. She said, yeah, right. You're clearly a stalker.
Yep.
Do you get kicks out of watching other people making out or something?
Probably.
James said you're a loser, and he wasn't joking. Look
No, he
at you. If I hadn't already been underground, I'd have asked the ground to swallow me up. No one had ever been so mean to me before. After that, it was really uncomfortable, and all of us were in a bad mood. Soon, it became obvious we'd all have to spend the night down there. So I found a corner as far away from Amy as possible and lay down. I was still shivering and thought about using the insect-infested blanket, but Amy had already grabbed it. There was no way I'd fall asleep. I was so thirsty, and even though the shelter luckily had a small toilet, there was no...
You better put your hands into a cup, put them into the toilet bowl.
Sink, which meant no running water. I'd have drunk the rain earlier if I knew this was going to happen. I covered my ears because I was afraid I'd hear them kissing, and eventually I must have fallen asleep because the next moment I found myself waking up to hearing a rustling sound. I looked over at Amy, and even though I couldn't see anything, I knew she was eating something. I could hear her. I couldn't believe she had food with her and wasn't sharing it.
Survival skills, and the reason she isn't sharing it with you is because you got them all locked down there. I don't know, maybe James is just like completely asleep and she's like, whatever, I'm probably not gonna disturb his sleep, and I'm definitely never offering food to that girl that got us all stuck down here because, well, I don't even have to explain. Why is this video disliked? I have never seen this. I think that was a misclick. I have not watched this.
James know? I should have said something, but I was too scared. I'd already caused enough trouble. Finally, morning came, and by then my phone was at 2%.
Why is your lock screen James? Are you that obsessed with him? And how did you even get the photo? Because earlier you said that this was the closest you ever been to him. So how? Was he like doing like something random? Does he have a TikTok account? Was this a TikTok dance? Tell me. Why is he your lock screen?
Soon, I wouldn't even know what time it was. I was bursting for the toilet, so I went to use it, and of course, Amy shouted at me and said my peeing was too loud and had woke...
Her peeing was too loud. Bro. What kind of logic? Yeah, James here is literally the only one who is okay because, maybe his girlfriend was the one who thought of sneaking into the tornado shelter, and like James just played along with it or something, because he wanted to keep it. He wanted to keep her. Like seriously, I'm only really agreeing with our boy James.
Her up. Then I noticed there was a light switch outside the toilet. I clicked on it, not expecting it to work, and suddenly the whole shelter was flooded with light. Amy quickly pulled the blanket up and told me to look away. Oh my gosh, were they not wearing clothes?
What? They were naked. Chilling under there.
Then Amy just laughed and said everyone knows that body heat is the best way to survive in cold weather. Ew! Once they got dressed, I realized how pretty Amy was, and it really annoyed me. How could I have thought James would ever be interested in someone like me when he had Amy? I ran up the stairs and tried to push the lid again, but then I just sat there waiting for people to arrive at school. Then I'd scream my head off. Plus, I didn't want them to look at me. I felt so insecure about my running clothes, and I hadn't even shaved my legs. I didn't want James noticing.
What you're worried about? Your clothes and your legs not being shaved. That's what you're worried about? Seriously, bro. I'm gonna comment in here, at the end of the video. I'm just gonna say, are you serious right now, bro?
I could hear the school bell and feet walking over us, but no one heard me scream. How long would we be down here? James was complaining about being hungry and Amy too, but I knew Amy had eaten something in the night.
It was a snack. Just because she ate a snack does not mean that she's now invincible to all hunger. Bro.
Was a liar. We started looking around the place to see if we could find anything, and James suddenly sounded happy. Under the sandbags, he'd found some old bottles of water. The water looked disgusting, but I'd have drunk anything by that point.
Including the toilet water? You would have drunk anything by then? What about the toilet water? Didn't drink that? That could have worked.
Both James and I downed like a liter each, but Amy refused. Suit yourself, I thought. Then about an hour later, I started getting a weird pain in my stomach. Oh no, there was no toilet paper. This couldn't be happening. I had to run and almost puked my guts up. And I wasn't the only one. James raced in after me, and at one point, we were both lying on the floor taking it in turns to vomit. Not exactly what I had in mind for our first date.
It's not a... You're just down there, stuck with him in a shelter. You're not on a date. You're literally next to his girlfriend. Bro.
Together. That water must have been 20 years old or something. Amy got seriously annoyed and even tried to drag James out of the bathroom. Was she jealous? And then I noticed an empty soda bottle behind the toilet. Had Amy secretly had a bottle of soda and not told us?
That's a coincidence. Maybe somebody from like 2 years ago was in here and they were literally just drinking some Coke or something and they just threw it over there when they finished. You don't know that. How do you know specifically that it was Amy? You're like, a random spider here? Yep, definitely Amy.
How selfish. That first day seemed to fly by. Most of it spent in the bathroom, of course. By the end of the day, I'd almost lost my voice from screaming for help. Would we be stuck down there forever? And then nighttime came, and James and Amy got into a huge fight. Secretly, it made me happy to see them argue. James deserved better. He was super upset that he'd missed his football game, but Amy just kept saying he could go to college with her and then they'd never be apart. And James got really angry and said he didn't.
Wait. Wait. What if Amy is like actually a bad person and she just like locked James down here because she didn't want him to go to a actual college and she wanted him to stay there with her for all eternity until they both died. Back to the video.
Didn't want to go to her college. Then the whole room went silent. It was tense. I didn't know what to do, so I just stayed quiet and pretended to be asleep. A while later, I heard someone saying my name.
A Toasty Thomas's Brekkie. Oh.
Thanks, Tom.
Huzzah!
What kind of ad was that? What was the
I opened
man
my
in
eyes
the
and could see
cabinet?
James. He said he could hear my teeth chattering and that I should come and share their blanket. But if Amy woke up and saw me, she'd go mental. I didn't care about her, though. James was actually being kind of nice to me for the first time in my life.
Nice
I
man.
couldn't lose my chance. So I climbed under the blanket next to him. Our legs were almost touching. And of course, that woke Amy up. And when she saw me, I thought she was going to explode.
You creeper.
James wanted to keep the
Creeper.
peace, so he snuggled into her
man.
and left me lying there all alone. But I couldn't stop thinking about the moment we just shared. And during the
Wasn't
night,
a moment you shared. He was just being a nice guy. He's like, you know, look at her over there. Though she did completely accidentally, I don't know. I didn't see the full thing. I was chilling with my GF. She's looking a bit cold. You know, I don't want her to die or anything. I'm just gonna offer her like a blanket. Like, yeah. He ain't trying to get with you.
I decided to try and get closer to him. I rolled over until I was almost right at his back. But then I heard something. They were kissing. I was watching
course they
them,
were.
wishing it was me he was kissing.
Of
I couldn't
course you
stop
were.
staring. But suddenly, Amy opened her eyes and caught me watching them. She told James, but James said I was asleep and that they should get some sleep too. But James didn't go back to sleep. He waited until Amy was snoring next to him, and then he reached out his hand and grabbed mine. I felt like my heart
then
was going to
immediately wakes up, like, in a
explode,
room
and I
like,
so badly
"Dang
wanted
it,
to get
it didn't
closer to him,
happen."
but it was too risky. There was always the next night, right? So we fell asleep holding hands, and I couldn't stop smiling. In the morning, though, I was lying there all alone. When Amy got up to go to the bathroom, I smiled at James, and he smiled back. But then Amy came out and saw me and said, "Freak, stop staring at us like that." I thought James would stick up for me, but he didn't. He was acting like nothing had happened between us. The rest of that day was kind of weird. We just sat around quietly. At one point, James almost fainted. I mean, we were all starving. I was so weak, I just kept napping, and when I woke up from one of my naps, James and Amy were eating biscuits. Where
What?
did they get them from? I could
Whoa,
almost feel
wait,
the saliva.
Wait a sec. So does James like know that like she just conveniently has food down here? And he like doesn't care? Or was this like some sort of setup for specifically her so that like they can like get to like make her think that James was like liking her, and then she just like he was just joking, and then he like ends up like having the key, and he's like, "Yeah, we got you good, yeah." Like what, dude? They
But
just have
pouring out of my
biscuits
mouth, and I
conveniently?
assumed Amy would offer me one, but she didn't. They
Makes
ate them
sense.
all,
She
and after
knows
that, I didn't speak to
that you
either
got
of them.
them locked
I
down
was
there, bro.
so mad. I couldn't sleep that night because my stomach was rumbling so loudly. But once Amy had fallen asleep, James reached into his pocket and handed me a biscuit. I swear I almost kissed him right there and then. This was why I had a crush on him. He was actually a good guy, even if he had a demon for a girlfriend. For the next
Why
few
did you-
nights, we got into a
why
bit of
did
a
you make him
routine.
with the demon
After
face
Amy
if
fell
his
asleep,
girlfriend's
we'd
evil?
lie there and hold hands. And one night, James came right up to me, and I could tell he was about to kiss me. But Amy started murmuring in her sleep, and he quickly moved over to her and held her. It drove me crazy. After we'd been down there for like 6 days, things were really...
6? You were down there for 6 days. No, this is a dream. Yeah, this is definitely a dream. Like first I thought it was a prank, but 6 days with barely any food except for a biscuit, no water, and you threw up, so it even came out more, so you are more hungry, and just somehow still alive. What? Wake up.
Starting to smell. The toilet, my clothes, it was nasty. And still, James and I hadn't shared a kiss. But for some reason, Amy still looked good. That day I noticed she didn't get up. It was like she'd given up on shouting for help, but it bothered me. Why should she get to sit there and chill? So I told her I'd just seen a huge spider, and I've never seen her run so fast. She raced up the stairs to where James was, and I immediately went over to where she'd been sitting. I just had this feeling she was hiding something, like
Probably
another
is, not
pack
gonna
of
lie.
biscuits. But I found something much bigger. Under where she'd been sitting was a loose part of the floorboard. I lifted it up and couldn't believe what I was seeing. There was so much stuff down there.
What the-
Beauty products, food, a battery pack, even clothes. Oh my gosh, what was going on? I
I
didn't
know
have
what was
time to put
going
the
on.
floorboard back before James
has
appeared to
stuff.
find the spider. I whispered that Amy had been hiding stuff. James came running over and pulled out her phone. He knew
Also,
her
quick
past.
question. How did you guys not hear her moving floorboards? Because it's under a floorboard. So how do you not hear her just... Just every time, bruh. How?
And typed it in quickly. Then he saw some messages that said things like, I need to find a way to stop him going off to college.
Oh.
I'm scared he'll leave me. As he was reading them and I was eating one of her secret chocolate bars, she came down the stairs. What are you doing? She screamed, but it was too late. We'd caught her red-handed. She tried to grab her phone back from James, but he wouldn't give it to her. Eventually, she broke down and said that she didn't want James to leave her for college. So she'd planned this. But she had only meant for them to be stuck down there for 1 or 2 days. Then she said I'd ruined it all by turning up and getting them locked in here. But there was something
did, you
else.
did.
While she'd been talking, I'd been digging around, and inside a pair of her socks was a key. I held it in my hands and watched as James went crazy at Amy. He said he couldn't believe he dated such a psycho and that she'd
I can't believe it
officially
either.
ruined
Like
his
James.
life. Then the best part
someone
of
better
all,
for
he
you, my
turned to
man.
me and apologized. He said he was sorry he treated
Why?
me so bad.
Why is he apologizing? When it's her fault.
But actually he'd realized how amazing I was and had enjoyed our sneaky hand-holding sessions while Amy slept. At that, Amy went berserk. She ran towards me and I quickly jumped away. Then I watched as she dug around
got
inside her
spidey
secret hiding
senses?
place. Looking for this? I asked, swinging the key in my hand. Then I turned to James and said, she's been hiding this key the whole time. Before Amy could get to it, I ran up the stairs and undid the lock. James was right behind me and we both climbed out and collapsed onto the ground laughing. We were free! As Amy climbed out, I thought she was going to kick me or something, but she just stormed off. And James shouted after her, that's right, keep walking. I never want to see your face again. Finally, she was gone, and James turned to me and gave me the biggest kiss ever. We
Wake
could
up.
see the janitor running towards us, and before all hell broke loose with our parents about where we'd been for the past week, James asked for my number, and now we're about to go on our first proper date. The
Wake up
worst
from this
week of
dream.
my life just became the best week.
Wake up. Wake up. No way that you survived. Again, 6 whole days in there with barely any food except for a biscuit, no water because you threw up the only water you had, and just that's it. That's your whole routine. Other than that, you're doing nothing except trying to get out. And it's like, seriously? You do expect me to believe it, dude? Like, I do not believe that. Wake up from this dream. Like, seriously. Hold on, let me leave my comment. Be civil and respectful. Wake up. Well, I hope you enjoyed this reaction video. Also, thank you for 200 subscribers. We have 202. Thank you so much. See you in the next one.